true end of the human era did not come with the fall of our cities, but with the failure of our most dangerous mastery, the atom. Within weeks of the Great Silence, the cooling systems of hundreds of nuclear reactors across the globe finally seized. Without engineers to monitor the delicate balance of the cores, the invisible fire was unleashed. This was not a world of mushroom clouds and firestorms, but a silent, creeping poison that began to rewrite the air itself. Radiation, a force that humans spent a century trying to cage, finally broke its chains, flooding the surrounding landscapes with subatomic energy. In these first years, the silence was absolute, as the immediate surge of gamma rays sterilized the soil and cleared the stage for a new kind of world. What we once called a disaster was actually the beginning of Earth's most bizarre transformation. Did you know that radiation doesn't just destroy life, it forces it to evolve at a speed that defies every rule of nature? In the shadow of the cooling towers, the clock of evolution was suddenly set to fast forward, creating an exclusion zone that would eventually cover the entire planet. This is the birth of the Radioactive Eden, where the invisible fire becomes the new sun, feeding a world that no longer needs the warmth of a human home. In a world saturated with subatomic energy, the very colors of nature began to shift into an alien palette. We are accustomed to a green Earth, a result of chlorophyll capturing sunlight. But in the Radioactive Eden, the rules of photosynthesis have been rewritten by necessity. High levels of ionizing radiation are toxic to traditional green plants, but life is stubbornly opportunistic. Within decades, the forests surrounding former nuclear hubs began to turn a deep, haunting shade of crimson and violet. This is not the color of death, but of adaptation. These plants have developed new pigments to shield their DNA from radioactive stress, turning the landscape into a landscape that looks more like another planet than our own. Did you know that some species of fungi have actually learned to eat radiation? Through a process called radiotropism, these dark melanized fungi thrive on the very energy that would kill a human in minutes. They act as a biological sponge, soaking up the poison and turning it into life. The result is a forest of deep purples and ink blacks, where the air tastes of ozone, and the leaves shimmer with a strange metallic sheen. It is a beautiful, terrifying garden that flourishes in the absence of its gardeners, proving that even in a poisoned world, life will find a way to bloom in colors we never imagined. As the forests turned red, the animals that remained had to undergo their own silent revolution. The predators of the exclusion zones, such as the descendants of the gray wolf, are the true kings of this new reality. While we might expect these creatures to be sickly or deformed, the reality recorded in the Shadows archive is far more fascinating. These wolves have developed an incredible resistance to cancer and radiation-induced cellular damage. Their immune systems have evolved to be hyperactive, repairing genetic breaks as quickly as they occur. But their adaptation isn't just biological, it is behavioral. In the ruins of Pripyat and other radioactive hubs, these wolves have become more intelligent, using the crumbling concrete structures as tactical blinds for hunting. Did you know that these animals now roam through abandoned living rooms and hospital wings as if they were natural caves? They have reclaimed the spaces where humans once hid from the wild, turning our most sacred shelters into their dens. They are not the monsters of horror movies. They are the perfected version of a species that has learned to live in the fire. They move like ghosts through the red woods, their eyes reflecting a world where the word toxic no longer has meaning. One of the most hauntingly beautiful phenomena of the Radioactive Eden is the emergence of the eternal glow. In the darkest corners of the irradiated forests and inside the hollowed-out reactor halls, a new form of light has taken hold. This is not the bioluminescence of the deep sea, but a radioactive glow caused by the interaction of high-energy particles with the local environment. Speculative biology shows that certain mosses and lichen have incorporated radioactive isotopes into their structures, causing them to emit a soft, ethereal blue light known as Cherenkov radiation. At night, these forests do not go dark. They pulse with a ghostly neon blue aura that illuminates the red leaves and the rusted ruins. Did you know that this light can be seen from miles away, a silent beacon marking the sites of our greatest technological failures? It creates an atmosphere of perpetual twilight, where the distinction between day and night becomes blurred. For the new creatures of this world, this glow is a guide, a map of the high-energy zones, where the richest nutrients and the most dangerous mutations are found. The Earth has become a planet of cold blue fires, a glowing testament to a species that thought it could harness the power of the stars without paying the price. In the radioactive Eden, the most terrifying change is not what you see, but what you no longer hear. In the first century after the collapse, the world became eerily quiet because of the disappearance of most insect species. Radiation is particularly devastating to the small, complex bodies of bees, butterflies, and beetles. Without these pollinators, the entire foundation of the old world's food chain crumbled. But in that silence, a new type of insect has emerged. Creatures with thicker, lead-enriched exoskeletons and simplified life cycles. These new insects don't buzz, they click. Their movements are mechanical, and their carapaces are often iridescent, reflecting the strange spectrum of the radioactive sky. Did you know that without common insects to break down fallen trees, the red forests have become massive piles of non-decaying wood? In some areas, trees that died 100 years ago still stand perfectly preserved because the bacteria and fungi required for decay cannot survive the radiation. This creates a landscape of petrified wood, a graveyard of trees that refuse to return to the earth. It is a world of frozen time, where the typical cycles of life and death have been suspended by the invisible weight of the atom. The great cities of the nuclear era, like Paris, Kiev, and Chicago, have undergone a physical transformation that borders on the alchemical. In the areas where reactors suffered complete meltdowns, the heat was so intense that it turned the surrounding sand, concrete, and metal into a new substance, radioactive glass. These corium flows have solidified into jagged crystalline structures that fill the basements of our skyscrapers like dark frozen lava. Over centuries, the elements have carved these flows into strange, sharp sculptures that crackle with static electricity. Did you know that these glass structures are among the most dangerous objects on the planet, emitting enough radiation to kill a bird in mid-flight? They have become the heart of the new cities, around which the mutated flora grows in spiraling patterns. The rascaciolos that still stand are now encased in a layer of fine radioactive dust that has fused with the glass windows, turning the buildings into giant shimmering mirrors that reflect the red sky. These cities are no longer places for living. They are massive radioactive sarcophagi, preserving the remains of our luxury in a tomb of indestructible glowing glass. If an alien intelligence were to visit Earth 1,000,000 years from now, they wouldn't find our books, our skyscrapers, or our digital clouds. Those things will have long since turned to dust. Instead, they would find our isotopic signature, a thin, strange layer in the Earth's crust that marks the brief moment humans walk the planet. This layer is composed of elements that do not occur naturally in such concentrations, like plutonium-239 and americium-241. These are the artifacts of the nuclear age, the only things we built that will truly last for eternity. Did you know that our nuclear waste will remain dangerous for over 20,000 years, outlasting every empire and every language ever spoken? It is our most enduring legacy, a chemical scar that proves we were here. In the radioactive Eden, this signature is not just a record, it is the foundation of the soil. Future plants will absorb these isotopes, incorporating them into their seeds and spreading the human mark across the galaxy if life ever leaves this planet. We have woven ourselves into the very fabric of the Earth's geology, ensuring that even if we are forgotten, our atomized ghost will haunt the rocks of this world until the sun expands and swallows the Earth whole. In the heart of the most radioactive zones, a new type of life has taken the throne, the radiotrophs. These are organisms that have moved beyond the need for traditional food or sunlight. They feed directly on ionizing radiation, converting subatomic particles into cellular energy. While this started with fungi and bacteria, millions of years in the future, the Shadows Archive reveals larger, more complex organisms that have adopted this lifestyle. These creatures are often slow-moving and translucent, with skin that acts like a biological lead shield. They don't have eyes as we know them. They see the world in terms of radiation intensity, moving toward the glowing ruins like moths to a flame. Did you know that for these creatures, a nuclear meltdown isn't a disaster, but a feast? They congregate around the ruins of our reactors, forming strange, pulsating colonies that look like living sculptures. They are the ultimate survivors of the Anthropocene, a species born from our mistakes that has turned our greatest poison into its greatest strength. In the radioactive Eden, the apex predator isn't a hunter of flesh, but a harvester of energy, a silent god of the ruins that lives on the echoes of our fallen power. The atmosphere of the radioactive Eden is fundamentally different from the one we breathed. The constant ionization of the air by radioactive particles has created a permanent state of atmospheric excitement. This results in skies that are rarely truly blue. During the day, the sky often has a hazy, yellowish tint, a result of the dust and chemicals kicked up by the decaying cities. But it is at dawn and sunset where the transformation is most spectacular. The interaction between the setting sun and the radioactive particles in the upper atmosphere creates auroras that can be seen from every corner of the planet, even at the equator. Did you know that these nuclear sunsets can last for hours, painting the clouds in shades of neon green and electric purple? This is a sky that never sleeps, a ceiling of light that reflects the energy of the world below. It is a beautiful, tragic display of the power we unleashed. A permanent light show that marks the end of the human day and the beginning of a long radioactive night. For the creatures of the red forests, this sky is the only one they have ever known, a canopy of fire that reminds the world that the atom is now the only master. As the centuries pass and the radioactive Eden matures, a final, uncomfortable truth becomes clear. The planet did not suffer because of the radiation. It transformed. In the absence of humans, even a radioactive Earth proved to be more vibrant and diverse than the one we managed. The exclusion zones became the planet's greatest sanctuaries, places where life could experiment without the interference of the plow, the paved road, or the hunter. Did you know that the wildlife in the most radioactive parts of the world often has a higher population density than in the clean areas? This is the final verdict of the Shadows Archive. The greatest threat to life on Earth was never our poison, but our presence. Once we were gone, the planet used our most dangerous failure to create a new kind of beauty, a wild, glowing garden that flourishes in the ruins of our pride. The radioactive Eden is not a wasteland, it is a rebirth. It is a world where the shadows are made of light, and where life has finally found a way to be truly free, even if that freedom was bought with the fire of 1,000 suns. The archive is closed, and the Earth, in all its glowing, toxic glory, is finally at peace.